Right. Good morning, everyone. This is Rangadad. This is just an update on what I'm seeing at the moment in the markets. Not financial advice, all that kind of jazz. So, it was a very quiet weekend for Bitcoin. As you can see, a little bit of chop up and then came back down and just leveled off around this 62.5 to about 61.5 range. And then we've had a little bit of a decent move this morning, last night, depending on where you're at. Yeah, it's an interesting one. The main reason I say that is we've already had sort of 3 pushes to the upside on the 5-minute, and I'm starting on the small time frame at the moment because I think it's probably giving more of an idea of what's happening. Interestingly, this cyclic RSI is still in the bullish control zone that I use, and this has been a pretty good indicator for this run. As soon as this closed with a decent volume, sort of getting back up above that moving average, and the fact that we didn't really follow through here, that was a decent push down. Lots of wicks to the downside. We didn't clear the bottom of this one even, let alone the bottom of the full range here. And so the fact that it's sort of swung up from there and cyclic RSI turned bullish, was a good indication, especially once we had a good volume above the 50 EMA and the 200 EMA, that this was going to be a reasonable run up. Unfortunately, I haven't programmed this into my other main strategy yet, but that will come soon, because I am liking the sort of confluence that it gives me across the board. So what else are we looking at? Probably get a similar pullback down here, back to the 50 moving average like it has all the way along. Might sort of just come down and sideways down around that 63k, which would sort of coincide with this little high here, and then it might push up more. Now, just to give you an idea, my long strategy that I'm running at the moment in forward test mode, it only works on certain days. So it only triggers on these green days, the background there, and it's not triggering at the moment, but you can see when it comes out of a similar sort of cycle, it can sort of lead up to a bigger move, especially when you get a bit of movement beforehand. Typically though, I don't know, we do tend to see that downside move before you get a decent upside push, and that's kind of what we got here. So look, we are reasonably close to that pi cycle slow moving average there. It's at around the 67k mark. Wouldn't surprise me if we hit that. It could go a lot higher though. It could go into the sort of the 69 area before we see any sort of sideways or down. So look, the trend at the moment on the shorter time frames is bullish. Let's go to the 1 hour. Again, it's still showing bearish, so it hasn't even flipped over yet. But interestingly, I would expect this to be a final push, just because we've now got the bottom band in the cyclic RSI is above the median, so the 50 mark. So typically that's when we're starting to squeeze, we're starting to get quite overbought and likely to sort of pull back. Just Sorry, just wanted to change the settings on this. No, it's not letting me do it. Oh, settings. Doesn't matter. Fix it later. I think this is a longer time frame, about a factor of 4, I think. So this would be the 4-hour cyclic RSI. Let's go to the 15-minute. So this here is the 1-hour RSI. So it is actually turned bullish, sorry. The 4-hour still hasn't yet, but you know, it's in a pretty good spot. It's got room to move still. So I wouldn't be surprised if this move has a fair bit more left in it. Just check on the daily now. Yeah, the daily is looking pretty strong. If we're closing here, closing above this wick, if we clear any of these wicks, you'd expect a fairly decent move above. So this is like the 4-day. It's all still bullish. This would be the 2-day cyclic RSI. This would be the 1-day. So for the most part, everything is still quite bullish. Nothing to suggest otherwise at the moment. And as I said last time, I think this hitting this, it's done it before when it's coming out of a bear market. The other interesting thing, which Crown pointed out, is there's a what is it? I think it's a Bitcoin profitability indicator. Let's try this one, see what it does. Yeah, that's crap. Anyway, there is a minor profitability indicator at the moment that suggests that at the moment the break even is around the 30k mark for Bitcoin. Of course, when we hit the halving, that's actually going to double. So anything under 60,000 BTC price would be surprising for any length of time. So that's a really interesting point that he raised. Doesn't mean we haven't seen it go below there before in similar situations, but it typically won't stay there for very long at this stage. So yeah, if we get pullbacks before the halving, I'd expect a decent run after the halving and relatively soon after the halving. Although I do know there's a lot of Bitcoin miners out there that are profitable down to around 12,000, 16,000 BTC as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Still have a lot of inflows from the ETFs and things like that. So at the moment, I'm seeing bullish. That's all I've got for you today. All right, catch ya.